Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about W.S. Rendra's play, The Struggle of the Naga Tribe, which is a 1975 Indonesian anti-government and anti-capitalist satire. It's also very, very interesting. So the sort of broad outlines of the plot of this play are that you have the Naga Tribe, who lives in this region of, let me find it real quick, Astanam. So Astanam is a very thinly veiled metaphor for Indonesia, because this was a time, 1975, when satire was largely banned. Rendra himself had been jailed for his plays before, and so rather than Indonesia, this is Astanam. This is actually a very, very common technique for dramatists and authors and artists in general under repressive regimes, is that you thinly veil criticism of the current government by setting it in a different time or place. We see this, for instance, a lot with Middle Eastern dramatists in under, for instance, Nasser in Egypt, or the repressive governments of Syria, of Iran, of Iraq, whatever it is. And we see it in Southeast Asia as well. This tradition of this is not taking place in Indonesia, it's not commentary on what's happening here, it's in the fictional land of Astanam. Don't arrest me. So in Astanam, you have the Naga Tribe, and they're a very traditional agricultural people. They have ways of doing things, including ethics, handed down from over thousands of years, generation after generation, who've lived sustainably, who have lived relatively moderately in terms of material wealth and prosperity, but they've also been happy and healthy. On the other hand, you have the Ostomanese government, which is made up of people who are obsessed with progress. Progress is a recurring word throughout their dialogue, and by progress they mean bigger things, more expensive things, Western things. They all wear sunglasses, even inside, even at night, whatever it is. They wear sunglasses as a status symbol. They are building the largest and most advanced hospital in Southeast Asia, but almost no one will actually be able to access it because it's in a central location. And so rather than taking that money and building a wide range of hospitals across the country so that everyone could benefit, they're building one very high-tech hospital that basically they will have access to. The government is also repressive. They do not really tolerate dissent, even though they claim to. They have an opposition party in the parliament, but the opposition party's job is basically to agree with whatever the Queen wants. The Queen, incidentally, is a satire of, I think it's Suharto's wife, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. Things are humming along. The government is doing its corrupt government stuff. The Naga Tribe is doing its living in harmony with the land, agricultural village life stuff. But then copper is discovered on the mountain near the Naga village. And the government sells the rights to a foreign mining company. It seems implied that it's an Australian mining company based on the context. The Australian mining company wants to basically move the Naga out of their village where they have lived for thousands of years, where their ancestors are buried, where their life and worldview is rooted, etc., etc. And they want to build a company town in its place. This will destroy the environment there. This will devastate the culture, etc., etc. The Naga are not keen on this prospect, as you might imagine. This is, in a way, a story of indigenous resistance to colonialism and capitalism. There happens to be a non-Ostomanese journalist, a foreign journalist. It's not 100% clear where he's from, but it seems to be implied he's an American. And he basically sort of starts writing articles for the world press about the Naga tribe and how the Ostomanese government is trying to destroy them. This creates enough pressure on the Australian company. It's not just a mining company, it's sort of conglomerate company that does a bunch of things, where they're like, okay, it's kind of not really worth it to us anymore. So, the Ostomanese government, rather than just sort of saying, copper is not getting got, it seems like, so they decide to build the mine on the other side of the mountain, which is less convenient, but preserves the Naga tribe. But they also can't just leave the Naga tribe alone. So what they end up doing is going to the Naga tribe and just initially sort of sending, I don't know, a representative or somebody, but then sending like the president or the prime minister with a big portion of the army. And basically the idea is, hey, we want to turn you into like a model culture so that tourists can come and look at you. And the Naga tribe are like, we'll pass, thanks. We don't really want to, like, I don't know, have people watch us praying or have our folk dances and stuff shortened for tourists' limited attention spans, things like this. And essentially, at the end, everybody's just sort of like, yeah, the Naga tribe, they're going to keep fighting. So, one of the things that's really interesting, this is a great satire, but one of the things that's really interesting about Rendra's play is he basically uses Augusto Boal's theater of the oppressed methodology. So Boal was a theater theorist, Brazilian theater theorist, and basically he came up with this idea where you make theater engaging to the oppressed, broadly speaking. In the context of Brazil, this would be like farmers, rural people. This might also be industrial workers, miners, agricultural people in other contexts, village life, whatever it is. So the idea of theater of the oppressed basically is that you go out to these communal areas where people who are disenfranchised within their societies live, and you make theater not by performing for them, but by engaging with them. So, like, you might come with a topic, say, landlords raising rents, and then you construct a play collectively. They can, the people who are the audience contribute their ideas, and they can engage with the performance, while the people who are the actors are sort of embodying that performance. And so there's no fourth wall, really. Like, the performances are carried out, but people in the audience are encouraged to get up and sort of intervene. For instance, if they see an injustice going on the stage, they are encouraged to respond to what's happening. And Rendra does the same kind of thing here. What it says, so I'm reading this out of the Methuen Drama Anthology of Modern Asian Plays, and what it says in the introduction here, is the play was written and rehearsed by Rendra and his actors while visiting rural villages and involved the villagers in the evolution of the piece. The play thus was born out of an experience of working with the rural poor in order to promote social justice. A tension is present in the play between the village people and the townspeople, with Rendra coming down firmly on the side of the former. The struggle of the Naga tribe is in no sense is no less than a liberation struggle, not merely in the political sense, but also in the spiritual one, what Max Ling calls a humanist radicalism. The members of the Naga seek to liberate themselves from a society that demands subjugation and subservience of nature and of humanity to the state. So this technique, right, of collaborative performance, collaborative drama created not just by the actors but by the spectators as well, is a very liberatory theater creating process because it de-hierarchizes the performance, right? Normally with traditional, say, Western theater, you have the actors who have the authority. When the lights go down in the house, if you're an audience member, you sit and you shut up. You watch. You gain the information from the actors. The actors, by contrast, are empowered to move, to speak, to do things, and they have the information that they give to you. Theater of the oppressed disrupts that, right? The audience has as much access to information and is able to contribute as much as the actors. The actors are there more as sort of servants, in a way. They are there to perform the ideas, the social justice perspectives, the views, the ambitions of audience members. And that's really what the struggle of the Naga tribe does. So, again, this is a satire, but there's also a lot of really serious elements presented. And one of those elements is the ethos of the Naga tribe itself. So we get this, we have Abisavam, who is the son of, I think. Oh, no. So, sorry. Abisavam is the tribal chief. His son, Abivara. Sorry. So, Abisavam is the chief of the Naga tribe. He is the guardian of their tradition. He is the leader of this village. And he gives us this explanation in talking to the townspeople, the villagers, about Naga ethics. And what he says, basically, is, today we're going to open up new fields. We will burn the weeds and underbrush. We will share out the land, and then it will be irrigated and developed and kept in order. We all know the basic principle to which we hold. Every farmer must own land. So when we share out these new fields, priority will be given to those who have no land, our young people who need land to work. People who already own land, such as myself, will be considered last of all. We also emphasize that land owned by a person must be worked by that person. Land cannot be worked from outside the village. In order to own land in this village, people must come and live here. The land of the people received from the sharing out of these fields may not be sold before it is worked by that owner for at least 10 years. People who do not participate in the clearing of these fields will not receive any, even if they have enough money to buy some. Now what do you all say to that? And the villagers say, we agree, Abisavam. Indeed, that is what our tradition decrees. Farmers must protect their land. Without land, farmers are only tools of the landlord like oxen or cattle. Probably in the eyes of the landlord, farmers compared to cattle, the cattle would be more valuable. So it goes on like this for a little bit, but basically the idea is you cannot sell your land. You cannot give your land away. You have to work your land. You have to take care of your land. You have to work it in a way that is environmentally sustainable. This is a big point for the Naga tribe. And you have to be responsible to the collective, to the village as a whole, right? Everybody has to pull their own weight within the village. Everybody has to support everybody. And basically you protect collective resources from the outside. So there's one point where one of the women from the village, Supaka, um, she wants to sell her land. She's not a farmer. Her husband was a farmer, but she is not. She wants to sell her land to somebody from the city. And Abe Savam is basically like, you can't do that. That's against the rules of the village. If you're going... Basically, they don't want her to sell it at all because she hasn't farmed it for 10 years, which is what you're supposed to do before you can sell it. But if she is going to sell it, she needs to return it to the village. So she's not thrilled with that. But she ends up sort of coming around when the mining company representative shows up and starts basically being like, yeah, we're going to fucking destroy this village and put in a mining town. And what the Naga tribe realizes is that they need to stick together. And so we get this bit... Supaka agrees to give back her land to the village. And then she says to the other villagers, because the mining company wants to buy the land, she says, don't any of you here be forced into selling your land. Abivara, the chief's son, who actually had been away, like he had been probably in Australia maybe, that's not 100% clear, but he had gone to get higher education and then came back to the village. And rather than like wanting to go to the city and become a corrupt official or some shit like that, he's like, I'm going to stay here and take care of the village. Abivara says, in the village of the Kariman tribe, through using both force and manipulation, they succeeded in buying all the fertile land. And Abe Savam counters this point by saying, that happened because the Kariman people fought as individuals. We must struggle together. Only then will we succeed. I feel strong enough to lead you. Tonight we will hold a night of meditation. And so ultimately it is this sort of hopeful play, despite the violence, the power, the authority of the government. It is a play in which the Naga tribe are going to struggle collectively to resist capitalism, to resist environmental degradation, to resist the theft of their lands, etc., etc. And so it's a really, really good play in that sense. I think it's a very, very topical play even today in 2024, unfortunately.